Today I want to compare using Gemini with using GPT in a kind of real project that's using programmatic access. Now, Gemini is a new um, large language model from Google. It comes in three levels. Uh, the mid-tier one is called Gemini Pro. What attracted me to it is that it has a pretty generous free tier. There's an unreleased version called Gemini Ultra, which is supposed to be better. Um, And it's been kind of described as like Gemini Pro is something like GPT 3.5 level, and Gemini Ultra is supposed to be GPT 4 level. 3.5 is what you will encounter if you use the free version of ChatGPT, and 4 is what a lot of things are built upon. But 3.5 is a very competent and good large language model. So I'm going to be using that as comparison primarily here. And we'll see, eventually we'll get to some of the limits of GPT 3.5 and we'll see what 4 adds. But for a lot of this, GPT 3.5 is just as good as 4, and we'll see how it compares to Gemini Pro. Um, so the way I've done this is I've pre-calculated a number of things. GPT actually brainstormed all these dates, and there's kind of a wide variety of them, just to like kind of get you started in a bunch of different locations. And then from there, we're going to let the large language model kind of suggest next steps. So uh, here, the first step, we choose a date, and now we ask, what are some locations that are interesting at that date? So you can see the prompt over here. We say, here's the year, and then we just give it some like examples of places that we might be interested in. So here we have a couple of locations. Selma, that makes sense. Kind of some standard ones. Here we see the structured response. So Gemini supports asking for a structured response in the same way that GPT does, which I make a lot of use of. Um, it doesn't always get it right. You'll see this, it got it wrong once, and then we just retried the request and it got it right the second time. Um, and yeah, so not not a lot of them here. Uh, let's try something a little more challenging. Is if we do something old. In general, like something 1000 BC is difficult for GPT as well as for Gemini because it has to kind of forget everything it knows about modernity. In this case, what it did is it returned the examples. I don't show it right here, but there's API examples as well, and I use these two as examples. They are obviously not appropriate in the year 1000 BC. Let's give it another try. So we got an invalid response and a 500 error. That's a server error, not too uncommon. All right, I'm not so sure that Rome in 1000 BC is a very interesting place, or Carthage, but getting closer here. Let's try it, and not at all sure about that. Um, and here you see it's echoing the language that I used in my request, which is like, here are some ones like, what's something that's interesting, or going through a golden period or something. It's not actually specifying why this place is like that. So let's try GPT 3.5. So same prompt here. And here we have some results. A little bit higher quality. All right, let's try one of these. Rook, that's an interesting place. Be a female character. So I haven't done like chat things here, because I found that a little bit too complex. But it's like you can just put in your own words, or you can pick from some of these ones. Be a quiet, warlike, energetic child, kind of seething, I suppose. All right, first I did, this is with GPT 3.5. You see here the prompt sets up all the context, the time, the place. It gives some ideas of like how you should This is just like a single example of how one should format that, and then it has these words that we gave. All right, so these are all fine. This prompt could definitely be a little bit more punchy and encourage like a little bit more out there things because I think that's more fun. Uh, this is a little more standard, but let's try it with Gemini. All right, here, tried 3 times and eventually just gave up because, well, it only tried 3 times and gave back the third one, which was invalid. And here it goes again. It has successfully done this one, but it's okay. Here's a successful one after a few tries. Playful spirit, if I remember the cynical, graceful homebody. These are all, you know, reasonably okay. All right, let's say dutiful daughter. All right, we're still on Gemini. Now this next stage, what it does, it says, okay, given in 1000 BC in Uruk, what are some social classes? What are some ethnicities or races? It only came up with Sumerian here. And what are some religions? It came up with Mesopotamian. Not quite the right mix there, but not too bad. And then these are just like um, general words down here. I'll just leave that as it is, and we'll say we have this dysfunctional, somber merchant family. All right, so here we're still on Gemini, and now we're asking for a full kind of family description. So we're asking for kind of the personality of the family, the size of the family. All right, here is some different ones. It's not too bad. The family size is a little bit abrupt. Asks for kind of more description rather than um, just a number, but a number is not too bad. All right, and listen to the words we used. Yeah, nurturing and supportive, strict and authoritarian. Not really. I would say that yeah, it seemed to not pay attention to these, but not terrible. Let's try GPT 3.5 here. And here it doesn't look like it really felt those words either. So this, I would say, would be a bug in the prompt itself. This prompt really doesn't emphasize these words as strongly as it should. Um, so, all right, let's continue. I'm going to do the next step with Gemini Pro and start. So this is the name. That's pretty easy, and it did pretty well. No quotation problems. That's one thing I've noticed is that it often gets kind of different extended non-ASCII characters incorrect, but it was able to do this one. All right. All right. And the final step, which is the most challenging, is given this family, specify the actual full set of family members. And it's likely going to fail on this one. Yeah. So to give you an idea of what it should look like, let's try it with GPT 3.5. And this is one that's hard enough that GPT 3.5 is going to get it wrong too. So here gets a basic idea, right? It's got a bunch of people, but the father and the mother, the age are 0 years older. In general, these ages are, it's just like it's doing a very poor job of understanding relative ages. Now, if we switch to GPT-4, I think we'll find that it's much better at understanding this and following the full set of instructions. This is something that I'm sure I can fix with 3.5. Maybe the way I ask the question is different. Maybe the kind of answer I want to give is different. Maybe I want to separate older and younger into um, two different values so that I can kind of like assert one or the other. But as you can see, GPT-4 takes a lot longer, quite a bit longer. All right, here we have the father was 40 and 35. So these are all, interestingly, very wide variety of ages, but not unreasonable. Let's give Gemini one more chance. And it fails. We can look at the exact answers it gives down here. So here's like one person. Here it is, characters. All right, it has one character in this case, but the character is the character that we're giving it, not a new character for the family. Just really incapable of understanding the prompt here. So I think that gives a sense of how these different models perform. I was really hoping that Gemini Pro would be at least an option for some, more low stakes kinds of things I wanted to try. It does not appear to be that option. I'd say it fails in a couple of ways. The service is not particularly reliable, and it's very young. It's only been out for a couple of weeks, so it can get fixed. The structured responses are not reliable. They're not well structured. It can't listen to instructions very well. Its understanding of kind of historical consistency I found to be lacking in a lot of cases. And I haven't even gotten to some of the deeper things like the actual role playing, which gets more complicated. Understanding things like social roles across history is very difficult again because it has to forget what it knows about the modern world and try to be like, well, what would it be like to be then? Um, so I will probably support it, but I can't feel excited about releasing something that's based upon it. I probably will instead try to use this project called OpenRouter. It is a way for me to essentially ask OpenRouter for a service, and then you will sign up for OpenRouter and you'll pay them. And then depending on how much you use the service, then you would um, pay that money, and I don't have to pay any money for the large language models. So it's kind of pay as you go and keeps everything out of my hands. So that's probably a more likely result. Um, and yeah, that is my conclusion. So thanks for listening.